Thanks for coming. This is the man of the moment. This past weekend, I attended a book launch by my brother, Miracle Chawane. He's the author of the 5 Rand University. But in as much as I'd like to speak about the book itself, I have reviewed it on this channel, particularly the first edition. In as much as I would like to talk about the contents of this book, there's a special interaction that happened at the launch of his book. It was his interaction between himself and his dad. It was the first time I met his dad. I had heard of Dr. Ray, but it was the first time I had actually met him. It left me a tad bit emotional. Being the man that I am, I will admit the extent of how emotional it actually made me. Having grown up without a father myself, there was something truly mesmerizing about the interaction, the narration of a story shared in this book of how Miracle's father actually left him to grow up independently as a young boy. Yes, you heard that right, as a young boy. And all the lessons that experience instilled in him. And they were interacting regarding how Miracle grew up, the decisions the father made, the decisions that led to Miracle being the son that he is today, and so much more. It got me so emotional because I have never had the opportunity to have such interactions where I was able to ask my father the story around his decisions. His decisions. He passed away whilst I was still very young, and so I never got to interact with him. And at the time of his passing, we didn't have a close relationship. He wasn't a part of my life, he wasn't a part of my milestones, he wasn't a part of my journey. But the interaction that they had, it reminded me that there are good men out there, and some of the decisions that our fathers take, we mustn't take them for granted because there's so much to learn and grasp from those experiences. So what I'll do for now, my starters, is that I will share the clip of me actually recording their interaction and some of the questions that were coming from the crowd. And then in all fashion, Lesego Kholane, it starts with you network style. I'll then give a review of the actual interaction. After I also actually make you listen to my live response at the event and how I commended and applauded Miracle's father for helping shape the man that is Miracle Chawane today. So enjoy the clip and then we'll revert back to my reflections about their interaction.
To parents, before you start blaming the school, the government, and everyone, get your house in order. That's what I said after the story of the 500 University. So now I want to interview the man who shaped me into this person that I am today. A fully grown man who is responsible, independent, and knows his story. That's me. But I am born of this man here, and I'm very proud to be born from this man and raised by this man. So you are eavesdropping into a conversation I'm having with my dad. I prepared some questions to ask my dad so that we can get the insights of what was going on, because I wrote it in a story, but I don't know what was going on in your mind, sir, when you were doing the things you were doing to me. So today I want answers. So first of all, how do you feel, Pa, with the way I've turned out as a man?
Thank you for inviting me, Miracle and Chawane. I appreciate that. That's why I stopped my arrangement, my diary, everything, deciding to offer my presence in your event.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I really feel very small and humble and very proud of you. And it's very proud of you, seeing a giant that I have raised doing such great things. So I'm really grateful and thank God for that. I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Your things work. If they manage to produce something that you're proud of, it means they work. The first chapter in the book says, it begins with my father. What was your thought process? What did you think when you first heard that I'm writing a book and I'm telling a story about how you raised me? How did that make you feel when you found out of that story?
Actually, today you invited me to come and display the wisdom of Solomon that I'm applying in my family, in my home. So me and you are going to demonstrate what is written in the book of, in the story of Solomon. So we are now, me and you going to demonstrate the wisdom that I'm applying in our family. The value and the importance of home. Actually, what is home? Home is a central supplier. Home is a central source
extraterrestrial life or alien life
of
is life which
foolish
does not originate
and
from Earth.
intellectuals.
No extraterrestrial
Home
life
is a
has yet been
central
conclusively
supplier
detected. Such life.
of the competent presidents, witch doctors, philosophers, powerful and wicked leaders. They come from home. So if you neglect home, you neglected the solid and the quality of life itself. So life starts from home. Bishops come from home. Presidents come from home. So if we can be able to differentiate a home and a church, then we will produce giants like you.
Powerful. Speaking of home, there's a chapter in the book where I talk about being a pastor's kid is hard. So after doing your best to raise me and my siblings the way you did, then boom, I come and tell the whole world that how being a pastor's kid is hard. How did those news reach your ears after you have done your best? You were applying the wisdom of Solomon. And then I come out and say, no, this thing of being a pastor's kid is very hard. I hated it. So how did those news reach your ears?
Actually, firstly, I took it personal. And too personal. I took it negatively, asking myself questions. How? What is this young boy trying to tell the world about me? How? He wants to mean that I raised him abusively. What is he trying to do? Lastly, I came back into my senses, saying, no, man, this boy, he is not selfish. He is not stingy. He wants to give the world the importance of being a pastor's kid. If you might be a pastor's kid, you must learn something from me. 1, obedience. 2, submissive. Then they will become like me. I am what I am today because I was submissive to my parents as pastors. So why should I be stingy? So I have to take this to the world and show my brothers and sisters how I arrived here. You see, when I came back into myself, then I happened to realize that, no, this is good. You are not exposing me. You are preaching. You are giving away the secret of your success. to other pastors' kids and to pastors as well. So it's an epidemic to them.
Powerful. I like how you were honest with you took it personal in the beginning. Because we are going into a chapter where, all right, but before we get there, my teachers always used to call me, since you sent me away from home, you dropped me there in Limpopo while my family is back at home, and you left me there, and you would only come once, check up on me, and you go. Once, check up on me. By the way, the story of the 5 Rand University, it was that my father used to give me 50 Rand as a pocket money to survive through the week when he comes once a week. Then he goes back home. So, but I got addicted to games. I played games with that money. He came back home, didn't find me. Long story short, I was beaten that night because in his ears, what he heard, it was that I was gambling with the money. Then the following week, he reduced that 50 Rand to 5 Rand. Gave me 5 Rand to survive through the week. So that was my university of life. That's why the book is called The 5 Rand University. Because from that week, I learned how to count the number of slices in a loaf. I knew that others have 15, others have 16. And I went for the one that has 16 slices so that I can have a longevity. So, but from that, I learned how to be responsible, independent, and be very, very strict with how I manage money. And that was my university. And then I say, as a story or as a lesson to get out of that, everyone has that 5 Rand university in their lives, where you have had something that has defined who you are today. That is your 5 Rand university. So that is the story of the 5 Rand university. So, but where I was there in the wilderness by myself, I was naughty at school, as my mother described. You were always called by the principal. They were complaining. And I went to a Christian school to make matters worse. The principal is a pastor, always calling a fellow pastor, a colleague, that your child is problematic. I used to get detentions every time. One time I made a young white boy smoke snuff, and his face went red. Then I got into trouble. So when you had all of those issues, Papa, with how I was misbehaving, and I'm your child, you have this big ministry, you're always being called to solve issues about your misbehaving child. How did that make you feel? And how did you view me?
No, I viewed you like my child, my son, my beloved child, child or son. Your character doesn't affect me from viewing you as my son. Whether you behave negatively or positively, so you remain my child and my son. But the issue is that I was embarrassed to the principal, as you mentioned, that he was a pastor, and to other teachers as well in the school at large, because they were really calling me time and again and telling me that your boy is naughty, you don't want him here anymore. So at some stage they called me and said, now I had enough with your son. What he did here, he brought along a snuff, then he gave this snuff to, bear in mind, the children were the children of the white people only, no black. So he manipulated them. He gave them snuff. You know what snuff is? Shinef. Can you imagine? Irish name, Shinef is already. So the principal wanted to know if ever I'm selling snuffs at home. Or I do take snuff at the home with him. So they were amazed because they know me as a pastor. So miraculously, the son of the pastor is bringing up the snuff to give other kids that they must take it. So I have to respond and give them the answer. Why is this young boy doing this? So that's why I say I was embarrassed. But anyhow, I apologized. And then I said, please leave the boy in my hands. I will deal with him. Please pardon me. I will never do it again. I will deal with him. Go back and say, what can I do with this boy? So, God is making me life. I don't always take things as it is. I give some reasons. When something comes this way, I take it the other way in order to get a real solution. And I said, this boy, his character shows me, Uri, this boy is creative. He has got potential. And he has got leadership skills to influence white people's skills. So this boy, instead of destroying him, let me mold him. Let me mold his character. Then I started to mold his character. Instead of calming him or destroying his character, I mold his character from bitter to betterness. So that's why he is who he is today.
And that's true. That day, he did not beat me. I was not beaten by that problem at school. And I was wondering, there are certain problems, I was always in trouble. There are certain troubles that I was in where he didn't even beat me. And he didn't even do any reprimanding of that sort, which I expected. So now what he said gave me an answer why he was reacting that way. Because it was those times when I was expecting, oh, today I'm dead. And I was most alive after that. So, the last chapter says, it ends with my father. So, the whole narration of the book, that's why if you are realizing, if you've read the book, what is happening today is a screenplay of the book. Even the speakers, it's a screenplay of the book. That's why the introduction is done by me. What I'm saying, it's not me saying it in preparation. It's a snippet taken from the audiobook that I'm launching today. So when you hear someone being introduced by my voice, it's taken from the audiobook, and that's why it's an audiobook launch. So now you get to understand when it says this boy is creative. It's exactly that. So now you mentioned that when I said it ends with my father, and that was where our biggest conflict in life happened. When we were back at home, 2021, and you asked me, what am I doing with my life? And I was very serious with my life that time, according to me. Busy pushing my driving school, doing YouTube, busy, serious, hectically serious. Then you ask me, what am I doing with my life? I'm proud that I resigned from work. I'm broke, but I'm happy. Then we had a conflict. We fought. It was the first time we had a fight, me and my dad. It was like two bulls. I don't know where I got the courage as well to fight with him, because I've never fought with him in my lifetime. And he's also never attacked me the way he attacked me that day. In his lifetime. He's always supported me. When I start something, I'm happy, I bring it to him. Hey, Papa, I'm doing this. Ah, well done, my son, well done. Hey, Papa, I'm doing this, well done, my son. So I'm thinking I'm still in the well done phase. Can't you know, this day is a different day. It comes hard on me. Tells me what I'm doing is nonsense. I'm wasting time with this driving school thing. Who in this day and age is using a driving school to make a living? I'm wasting my time. I went to school. What are you doing with your masters? I'm like, it's disturbing me. Disturbing you? From what? Driving school. And that time, I'm also now stressed. I'm angry. Why is this guy attacking me like this? You know? I'm fighting back that day, but respectfully so. Sweating. They know we had witnesses. We had witnesses. My sister and my mother were there. It was the four of us. My sister tried to interject and come and help us. No, Papa, give him a chance. He's still trying to be there. When I shut up, if you don't have anything to say. If you don't have anything productive to add to this conversation, keep quiet. This is between me and this boy, man to man. It was a big attack. It was a big fight. So, what I like, usually, the misconception around conflicts is that if you don't have conflicts, then your relationship is more healthier. Whereas I view it the other way. I think I got that from you when you look at something and you view it in the other way. A happy relationship is not the one that doesn't have conflicts. It's the one that recovers after conflict. So if you are able to solve your differences and come back, that's where we view a healthy relationship. But in that case, Papa, I just want to hear from you. How did you feel? Because we ended on a note of, you know what? Papa, I respect what you're saying. Allow me to do what I'm doing with my life. If I fail, I will do what you're suggesting. Give me a year. It's been 3 years now. And still, we're taking. Give me a year. If it doesn't work, I'll come back to what you're suggesting. But for now, leave me. Let me do what I'm doing. He realized, well, no, today I met a different guy. And he's like, then he came back. He's like, you know what? In life, you will never find someone who's going to confront you the way I did. Because no one in your life can play that role. I am the only one who can play that role. So I want to hear from you now, Pa. After knowing that I'm always complying with what you say, that day when you realize that I'm not complying with what you say, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, it was tough indeed. But the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So it is sometimes not right for a parent to always say, well done, well done, well done, well done to a child. Yeah, you need to sometimes have strong time with the child. Debates and arguments is fine. After that, then you get a better solution. A wise man says it takes a great man to see the greatness in another great man. It takes a great man to see the greatness in another great man. Means the greatness in you attracts the greatness in you. The greatness in me attracts the greatness in you. So, it was tough in such a way that can you imagine here is a child you take him to school, you expect 1, 2, 3 from him after he has finished schooling, but after that then he said, no, I'm not interested in all these things. I'm doing my own. My philosophy it's always, I don't take things as it comes to me, as it is. No, I don't take it as it is. I think that's my philosophy. It helps me to stay happy all the time. Because after our debating argument, I came back to myself. I said, no, it was not wrong. It's me who is wrong. Because I chose him career. So, no, I must advise parents that they must not choose careers for their children, but they must just give guidelines to their children. So I was learning after that debate. And I said, okay, from now what must I do? I will support this man. Because he has discovered what God has vested in him. He discovered his really purpose of life. So what must I do? I have to support him. Because for me, it's to support him. It's not to divert him from what he wants. So then I surrendered. Then I started there to support each and everything that we are praying and doing. Then that's why today I'm here. I'm supporting whatever now you are doing with full heart.
Thank you for that. It was a thing where I also felt like I'm uncomfortable around you after that discussion, because I did not know what you would accept from me anymore. So I was very careful with what I'm telling you. That's why even coming to this launch, he doesn't really know exactly what we are launching. He just came. Because I also did not know what to tell him. I didn't want to tell him because of that fight. So thank you for that answer that you gave me. It released me because you know you've always been my mentor all my life. Everything I do, I always pass it by you. However, from that discussion as well, I also understood where you were coming from. And I do narrate that story in the book to say, I didn't blame you. I didn't blame you after that discussion. I also did not hold grudges against you because I understood that you are coming from a different era. You're what, 67, 68 now? 66. 66 years old. He's coming from a background where if you didn't have a job, there was no way you were going to survive. He's coming from a background of you're a pastor and you rely on whether people are going to tithe or not. That uncertainty is very scary. It's scary. It's the same fear that running a business gives you. So when you looked at me, you feared for me. You didn't want me to suffer. And all your life you were working for me to be safe and secure. So when I'm now choosing to be in the open, in the wilderness, it stressed you out. Because you were like, even in your words that day, you said, I am not going to allow you to go astray under my watch. I have to tell you. And you were right, because from where you come from, in your worldview, there is no such thing as success coming from what I'm doing. So I understood him from that end. However, I took it as an assignment to say, I need to work hard so I can show him that in this current time, there are different ways to make money. And the Bible says your gift shall give you wealth. So if I can just prove it to him, then we are coming to the same place. And I'm happy that you gave me the answer you gave me today. I think it clears out that debate we had. If you have read the book, I think this is where we say the end of that story. Because it was left with a question mark. So I think this part of this interview, I will end it here. However, I have one more question, which you have partly answered. I want to ask you that question, just one more question, at the end, after seeing the rest of this show unfold. So for now, we're going to end it off here. Thank you for joining our talk. Thank you. No picture. Need to be quick, guys.
Whilst they're standing before we let them go, I'm just going to give one or two people an opportunity to ask them a question if you have any. It could be from a parenting point of view. How did you feel leaving your child for so long, seeing them like this once a month, were you not having anxieties and stuff like that? Anybody? Question going once? Twice? Did you guys even read the book?
What's that question?
Oh, right.
Even for those who have questions from the book, or you just want to say a comment about the book, just want to give a lesson that you learned from the book, I think this opens up for that.
I will start first.
Okay.
Is there a hand? Noted. Take me through about the parenting. I don't know what to call it, style. It may have, and maybe if you can just also point in Mama's point of view, because I know Mama's going to be very clean, they want all that children here. What was the conversation like to have him stay far away from everyone? And what were the dynamics like between you and Mama in regards to him pretty much raising himself up through the teaching that you applied from a distance? That, yeah, can respond to that, and then we'll take you afterwards.
Okay. Actually, my philosophy of raising him was I want him to be independent. And I want him not to rely on me or mom, whatever. He must grow up independently. And indeed, the life that is behaving now, he is 120 independent. He is living that life 120%. He doesn't rely or depend on us. For your information, he stopped me from giving him his pocket money while he was still at his university. He said, "No, Papa, that's why you don't give me your pocket money anymore. I want to check ever I'm able to survive without you." Up to today, even this event, I have never contributed anything. Deliberately, I wanted to see, to prove himself that he can do something, being alone. That's what I
No, thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to applaud the dad and the family for what they've done in raising Matlori to be a gift to the rest of us. Some of us were introduced to Matlori through the internet. And then from his gift being shared with the rest of us, we were able to then explore certain ventures and now meet in person. Last year, Matlori emceed my wedding. It was a 3-day wedding and he emceed the finale. And to this day, people are still talking about the MC. My students at the University of Johannesburg, they came and did a guest lecture there. The students are still talking about my show. Well done. On my YouTube channel, I reviewed this book as a book review, My Story Moves. And the comments were all positive because it's a genuine story and a genuine tale of someone who's living his vision. So I'd like to applaud the fact that you yourself are honest enough to admit that let me unleash this young man to the world because I've done all I've been able to do in that journey. And now looking at you too, because some of us also grew up without our fathers. So we are inspired. I became a bit emotional, but I'm a man. You know? So I became a bit emotional listening to the discussion and seeing how you had a specific guide and path that you wanted him to take, but also being open-minded enough. Because now I'm a father myself, and not having a father has enabled me to be the father I never had. Now I'm seeing it, and I'd like to emulate what I'm seeing here. So it's quite an honor to be here. Matori, keep up the great work, my brother. We will continue to support you. We'll continue to work the journey with you, and we'll continue to learn from you because we appreciate you. Okay, so I'm not sure because sometimes being in the ambience of a room gives you a different perspective. So, me having been in that environment, it obviously would have led to some emotions being triggered. So, I'm not sure for you, my starter, who's watching on the other side of the lens, whether you had some reflections of your own in terms of your relationship with your father and all the possibilities that would have actually come as a result of those interactions. But me on my side, I got to actually reflect and think about all the things that I missed out on. Whilst at the same time, being a father myself now to two beautiful girls, I am able to look back at what I thought I missed out on growing up and be able to give that value of fatherhood, of a shared experience, of a loving relationship with my kids. So I'm able to reflect back, but also try to look at what's happening around me, try to look at the experiences of other brothers and sisters of mine, people who have grown up to end up being brothers of mine, and being able to say, it wasn't all that bad. It wasn't all that bad. Sure, him being alive would have been better. I would have loved to interrogate him because there's a point in time in my life where the biggest thing that I wanted to do was interrogate him, interrogate his decisions, ask him, why did you do this? Why did you leave? Why did you actually not stay? Why were you not a critical part of my upbringing? Why can't I have a memory with you? Why can't I ask myself, what would my father have done in a difficult situation that I might find myself in? Then I remember, in as much as I didn't have a dad, I had an uncle, uncles who played a pivotal role, who tried to close that gap. So that fatherly relationship that I thought I missed out on, it really did exist, not to the extent of a father that, in as much as our uncles, we love them and they love us, there's a special relationship, I think, that would exist if I had my father next to me, molding and shaping me and being the person that I look up to. But because I didn't have that opportunity, I'm able to look at these types of situations where Brother Miracle is interacting with his dad, and I'm able to say, boy, do I wish that my children will be able to have a sit down conversation with me where they ask me about some of the parenting styles that I used, where they come from, why did I choose certain decisions to make, why did I block certain freedoms that they think or would have thought would have benefited them at their tender age. Why? So I remain with my whys, while at the same time being happy about the fact that me being a son, me being a father, I'm able to take all those life lessons and put them together. So I want you, as my starter, to think about that as well. The relationships that you may have missed on, whether it's your father, whether it's your mother, what decisions do you think they could have done better? If they're still alive, why not try and have a sit down with them? Why not try and carve out a positive way forward if the relationship is not in a good state? Why not make decisions that will benefit yourself and your grandchildren? Because maybe the relationship wasn't good and maybe you've cut them off. Perhaps loosen up and tie back so that that cut is not as visible and impactful in your future going forward. I think if my dad was still alive, and even if he wasn't a part of my life, I think I would have had a sit down with him. I think I would have interrogated him. I think I would have questioned him. And I sure know that I would have forgiven him for his decisions, because growing up, you also get to see that things aren't black and white. There is that gray area that we need to consider as people, particularly when you are now a father, when you are now an adult. And that gray area actually plays a really positive and great role into molding the person that you become. So, Brother Miracle's book is available. He's currently sold over 1,000 copies. He's currently sold over 1,000 copies. So I'm proud of you, brother. As starters, it's a good book because it relates on you becoming the best version of yourself. And it has a story around why it's called the 5 Rand University. If you want more in terms of what the book offers before possibly you make the decision, because he also has an audio book that is available for sale as well. If you want more, then I'd say click on this video here that takes you back to the video, to the book review that I did 2 years back when he actually released this video. I love and appreciate you, starters, and I'll see you on the next one. According to Brother Miracle, it's finished.